Hey y'all, I'm Mitch Lawrence.
And I'm his wife, Leah Lawrence.
And you're listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my wife with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And this week, I'm drinking.
Yay! So what are we drinking, Leah?
Today, we are drinking Modish Black Cherry Kettle Sour. And it's 5.1 alcohol by volume, and it was brewed and packaged by Ghost Train Brewing Company out of Birmingham, Alabama. Would you like to read the can with me?
I mean, no, you do it.
Because it is very short and succinct.
I got other shit to read. You do it.
Just like how Ghost Train always is. They produce so many different small batch beers that they don't put a lot into what they write on the can. This one says, sour ale brewed with black cherry juice.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty, yep. That's exactly what it says. But I went on Untapped and I pulled up another slightly more loquacious description of it. So let's listen to that.
Is it a loquacious description?
Yes.
All right, here, go ahead.
Now I'm worried that I used that word wrong.
Well, I don't know, so
okay, well,
just go.
Fuck it. Anyway, let's read the Untapped description. Light, effervescent, full of flavor, and delightfully tart. Modish is exactly what you want in a sour beer. Using a light kettle-soured base and fermenting on fresh black cherries, this beer is tasty and crushable, with the red hue of a beer conditioned on real fruit. Yeah, that was everything.
Okay, just FYI, loquacious means tending to talk a great deal or talkative.
There you go.
I don't know
that's
it.
More loquacious, so it has more to say about the beer than the can did. Because,
good work.
You know. Anyway.
All right.
Close enough.
How'd you feel about it?
I wrote that it was a dark punch of cherry fruit at the beginning, and then it was just sort of dissolves into more of just a regular sour ale at the back end. I like the flavor. It's really bubbly and fun. It kind of gives me fall vibes because of that black cherry, but without, like, a lot of the fall beers that we try are very, like, spice blend heavy and, like, darker kind of stuff. And I like that this sour is a little bit more refreshing, but it does still have that almost cherry pie kind of flavor to it at the beginning. So I liked it a lot. Cherry's not really my favorite. I'm not a huge cherry fan, but it's pretty good. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I like it.
I thought it was really nice.
So I'm okay with the score.
Good job, Ghost Train. And Ghost Train actually makes some of my favorite sours. They always have it like a new different sour coming out, and I think it's really tasty. So for our liquor of the evening, we've actually only used this particular one once before, so refer back to episode 86 for the first time that we used cookie dough whiskey from Old Smoky in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We gave it a overall 8.5 out of 10, but apparently we really fucking like it in hot chocolate, so 10 out of 10 in hot chocolate, but unfortunately I did not make any hot chocolate, so refer back to episode 86. 86, y'all. That is a lot of episodes ago. That is an old fucking bottle of whiskey, but...
Yeah, I'm surprised that we've only used it once.
Whatever. I'm gonna drink it anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so that was the whole thing. That was all the alcohols.
Well, here we go.
You have fun.
So don't fret, Leah, because I feel like the storytelling is going to be subpar this episode, because Leah doesn't know what I picked. Like, I ran the topics by her to be like, have we done these before? She's like, no, but I know what you're about to talk about. So she has an encyclopedic knowledge of just bullshit.
Excuse you.
As we've come to know. And,
it's one of my special interests.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
It is. It absolutely is. And I actually picked these this time, unlike the last time we swapped, where Leah gave me the topics. And I looked shit up, so.
Yeah.
But I actually picked these this time. And the first one, we'll get there. Let's do our sassy Southern saying. Leah.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm very interested to see what you pulled for this.
I looked one of these up, too.
Okay.
So, success. The sassy Southern saying is, all hat and no cattle.
We've already done that one.
Have we?
Oh, yeah, we
have.
Yeah. Also, there's a podcast named that.
We did not do all hat, no cattle.
Yes, we did.
God fucking damn it, y'all. I should have run that by her, too.
You should have.
All right, well, that's the second time that we have doubled up on a fucking saying. So
I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I love you, but that one was really easy.
This is embarrassing. All right, well, moving on. Hey, I've said many times that I'm at least half inebriated when we do these things. I don't remember this kind of crap, so I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, I mean, you could have typed the phrase into the search bar in our Google Drive, and that's how I always do it to make sure we haven't done it before, but it is.
You didn't the first time.
It wasn't there.
Let me see. Let me see if it comes up anywhere. Yep. Let me see. Yeah, looks like it's around places. So, whoops. Maybe I shouldn't do this while we're recording. But
nope.
Anyway. All right. Well, anyway, all hat, no cattle. Yeah, fuck it. Well, let's get into our stories, Leah. The first one I'm excited about. The second one was one I just looked up because I needed the second story, to be completely honest with
Fantastic.
you. But the first
lay
one
it on me.
I really want to talk about.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about barnstorming.
Yes.
Do you know what the term barnstorming means,
I
Leah?
sure do.
Okay. Would you like to tell everyone?
Okay.
Just the term itself. Not
So
not
barnstorming is when either professional or semi-professional baseball players would go around into rural areas and they would play either a local team or they would bring multiple teams and they would play each other and they would do exhibition games as entertainment for people that had no fucking things to do
for off-season pay.
Yeah, and it was a way to supplement their income because they were really only getting paid during actual seasons and they weren't being paid very much at the time, like at all.
Yeah, most baseball players had off-season jobs.
Yeah,
most baseball players had jobs during the season too.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of them, from what I've listened to on the Antiques Roadshow, not gonna lie, that's where most of my knowledge about baseball comes from. But barnstormers would generally have other careers. That was just something that they would, do. But that this was an extra form of a way to continue to stay up to par with their skills in the off season while also attempting to make some money while they're doing it, because it was difficult to support a family or anything like that while you were a professional at the time. So it was just exhibition baseball games all over the place in the off season.
Okay, absolutely. And we were going to get to the baseball part. I thought you actually might know where the term came from in the first place. That's what I was going to go for. Okay.
No.
Well, barnstorming actually comes from any kind of a professional entertainment. It started with plays primarily. And it had to do with a play would travel to a town and put on plays, and it was said they were performed anywhere, including in barns. Many plays were put on in barns. And that's where the term comes from. And then it leaked over into other industries, other entertainment industries, and baseball was a big one, like you were talking about. A very big one.
I've only ever heard that term in association with baseball.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like that's the most
It is. That's
common.
where most people would know it from.
And I know it from Antiques Roadshow.
Right. So barnstorming, which baseball started in about the mid 1800s, and barnstorming came right after it. Once professional baseball started, barnstorming was right there with it. It's said to have most likely originated in 1860 with a team called Brooklyn Excelsior. They toured just New York by itself. Including way back then, some professional teams toured internationally. And that was a big thing because baseball originated in America. It is a derivative of cricket, though, so a lot of people had something very similar, but they were kind of fascinated by baseball. Some professional teams at the time even dropped out of the leagues they were in and just barnstormed, because that was how, we were just going to make money. So think of it like this. There's no TV. All you really have are newspapers, so you hear about these people. They show up in your town, and you go, oh, I get to see a really good baseball player do something. So that's what drew people out. They paid admission, and there was a lot of, I would say, controversy with it, because professional team owners and managers, they didn't like their players to do it because they went from these professionally manicured fields with, they were all fed what the teams wanted them to be eating. And then when they went on the road, they were going to crappy fields. They could get hurt. They would eat like shit. They would drink all the time. So a lot of people weren't liking
around.
it. Yeah, they would hoe around, which they did that at home anyway. It really reached its peak in the 1920s. It was huge. People like Babe Ruth were doing it, which was a really big deal. He was the most famous baseball player probably ever.
Yeah.
Still to this point, the most famous baseball player, period. If you've never even liked baseball, you've heard of Babe Ruth, you know who he is. He actually got in a lot of trouble because I didn't put down the year, of course, but there was a year when he and the Yankees won the World Series, and he and a few other Yankees went out and barnstormed after the World Series and just went around to towns and made some extra money. And the commissioner of the league didn't like it. It was back to that controversial stuff that I was talking about. And they fined him, I think it was like, I was going to say an amount, but it was their World Series bonuses. All of them lost all of that money that they just got from winning the World Series. And they were suspended from playing for the first month of the season. They couldn't play until May. But then they quickly changed those rules, and guys were allowed to barnstorm. Later in the 20s, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, who were both Yankees. You may not even know who Lou Gehrig is. Honestly,
I do know who Lou Gehrig is.
There you go.
The disease specifically is why. But
I know the disease. Yeah,
I was going to say, ALS is the reason that I know who Lou Gehrig is, but also Antiques Roadshow.
They were teammates and probably the two best players of the time. And they would tour with their own teams, but they'd tour together and play each other. So that was a really big draw for everybody. In the offseason, they would go around and make a shitload of money. Everybody's like, I get to watch Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig play, plus all these other professional people. So once radio and television really started to pick up, all the novelty wore off. Everybody had seen and heard everything, so they would still barnstorm. People still barnstorm some today. Not near as much. The legacy lives on. It's not really the same thing. For one thing, professional athletes are paid very well, so they don't do this sort of thing.
I would assume most of the time that anything like that would happen nowadays, it would be like a charity function, and it would be on a minor league field kind of stuff.
Right. There are a lot of...
I don't think anybody's playing in a cow pasture anymore.
No, not at all. There are a lot of exhibitions still. Occasionally, it hasn't happened in a couple of years, but Major League Baseball would take a few really good players. They would say MLB All-Stars, but it's not like an all-star team. They would take a bunch of really well-known players over to Japan and play the Japanese Baseball All-Stars because they have their own Japanese Baseball League. The Korean Baseball League is huge. Sometimes they play over there. There have been major league games held in international cities like Mexico City. There's a London series a couple of years ago. They sometimes play in Japan, Australia. They'll just go play major league games, which they count as regular season games. But it's the same kind of thing. What?
You're info dumping.
Well, I mean, it's part of the legacy of barnstorming.
Y'all, Mitch keeps telling me, because I've recently discovered some of the weird neurodivergent habits that I have, and have started actually realizing when I'm throwing out way more information than anybody cares about a specific topic. So he just in the middle of random conversation now, he just goes, Leah, you're info dumping. And
that's enough.
Yeah. So Mitchell, you're info dumping.
Okay. Well, then we'll get into what we're going to talk about. There were also teams that had kind of a gimmick back when barnstorming was huge. There would be a team that was all bearded men. That was just a thing. There were, of course, multi-ethnic and all African-American teams before, when the Negro Leagues were a thing. Mm-hmm. African-American teams would just travel and play a towns team because, towns just had teams. There were celebrity teams, that sort of thing. So now we're getting ready to get into our actual thing. Go ahead.
There was even a cult that had a team.
Oh, of course there was. But
I'm
sure you'll tell that
going to be a
story.
Patreon episode. That has to be. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, so one of those I would say gimmick teams, but not really. We'll get there. It was called the Colorado Silver Bullets. So Leah, shot in the dark.
Ooh,
Leah's got to play the sound effect.
I get to do this.
Ready. Very nice. So what was different about the Colorado Silver Bullets, okay? I want you to tell me what their team thing was. A, it was an all-women's team.
That's what my head went to initially.
B, it was comprised of silent film stars like Buster Keaton. Or C, the team went drinking with their opponent before every game. What was their thing, Leah?
like I said, my initial thought was they're women. I'm going with it. They're women.
That's correct.
Fuck yeah, they are.
It was an all-women's team. You got to give yourself a cheers, and then I have to take the shot.
Bing,
Give
bing.
it to me. So I was hoping to throw you off with talking about the peak of it first. And it
Yeah.
didn't work.
No.
Oh, fucking. Woo. That's gone bad.
Is it really?
No, it's fine. It's very cookie doughy, though. Okay.
Isn't that the point?
Yes. So, like I said, I was trying to throw you off with the Buster Keaton thing. It was an all-women's team that
It was
played
close.
in
That was the second one that I was just like, oh, but silver screen. But
Well,
no, I got it.
Okay.
Ladies.
So it was an all-women's team that played in the 90s, from 94 to 97 to be specific.
1890s?
No, the 1990s.
Oh.
Yeah, like I used to watch these games
Okay.
growing up on TV. So the reason they were the Colorado Silver Bullets, and the reason, by the way, the reason they're in the South is because they're actually based in Albany, Georgia. But they're called the Colorado Silver Bullets because they were sponsored
weird.
by Coors.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Right. So they were sponsored
still
by
weird.
Coors, and they were first conceived of by a former Braves executive, weirdly named Bob Hope.
Not that Bob
No,
Hope,
it's
though.
not that Bob Hope, but
Okay.
it was a former Braves front office guy.
Okay.
And they were managed by Hall of Famer Phil Niekro, who was a Brave for forever, and he just died last year.
Yeah, I
the Braves
remember
had been
that.
wearing his number on the back of their hat with Hank Aaron's number, who also died last year.
Yeah.
He was number 35, and the Braves have a 35 and a 44 for Hank Aaron sewn into their hats. They've been wearing all year. Let me see. What do I want to look at now? Oh, there were other former players that coached the team. Oh God, I'm still recovering from that cookie dough, Leah. Including Phil's brother, Joe Niekro. They both pitched in the big leagues, but Joe was one of his assistant coaches. So they traveled the country, playing men's all-star and amateur teams. Like, there weren't really town teams anymore, but like one time they played the U.S. Navy baseball team. Like I said, I watched a lot of these games. They played a celebrity team that weirdly was like headlined by Jonathan Silverman, like Sarah Silverman's older brother. He was a big movie star. Did you know that in the 80s?
No, I didn't.
I watched a lot of movies with Jonathan Silverman in them.
All right.
So anyway, that's a thing. And when Phil Niekro was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 97, he invited the whole team there. He was very heavily invested in this. And I've got a quote from him here. So during his Hall of Fame induction speech, he said that he was, quote, very privileged to be part of an organization that gives women a chance to play baseball how they want. So, like, women could play baseball, sure, but these people wanted to play professionally. A lot of these women, one of them was one of the first ones to play in college, I believe, something along those lines. I didn't write it down, of course, but a lot of them tried. There were a couple of them that had court cases to try to play high school baseball, but they were forced to play softball, and other ones wanted to try to play in the minor leagues, and they couldn't, and
That's
blah, blah,
fucking
blah.
ridiculous. I'm sorry. At this point, if you are good enough to play on any team, fucking play on it. Like, that's fucking stupid. Pisses me off. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all that I was saying was he was very proud to have been a part of allowing them to play the way that they wanted to. They never really won a lot of games, but they did have a winning record their last season in 97. They were 23-22. So that was something. Everywhere they went, though, they sold a lot of tickets. I told you I watched the games on TV when I was growing up. I think that had a lot to do with my parents, though, being like, hey, Phil Niekro. Anyway.
Cool.
The team does have its own acknowledgement in the Hall of Fame. Like, none of the players are in there, but, like, they have their own commemorative section.
Hey, this happened.
Right. And, like, a lot of this information came from the Hall of Fame's website, so I have that. Now, they did cease to exist after 1997 because Coors didn't want to continue sponsoring. They couldn't get money elsewhere, and quite a few of the players are still involved in baseball in some capacity. One of them is a broadcaster for, I believe, the Mariners. Another one coaches a lot of travel ball teams. Others coach in college, like college baseball. So, they had a really big impact. And I just thought about it, and I was like, ooh, I can tell Leah about the Colorado Silver Bullets.
Is there a ghost story coming here?
No,
Or
that's it. It's just a fun, wacky thing that happened in the South.
Oh, it's like the strange part. Okay.
Yeah, it's the macabre part.
I was
Because they're
just,
all dead. Leah.
I was just sitting here going, is there going to be a brutal murder? Is one of them going to be a fucking werewolf? Like, where are we going with this
It's just
story?
a fun ladies barnstorming team.
Okay.
That's it. Barnstorming was a big thing, especially in the South, because the South didn't have any professional teams to speak of, period, for a long time, because there weren't big cities down here.
Yeah.
So barnstorming was a really big thing in the 20s and 30s for the South. And then as it got, like everything else, it faded away. But the Silver Bullets were based in Atlanta, and it was a big thing for a few years. But, it left too with the advent of television in the 90s, 1990s.
There's no crying in baseball or something.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie.
You don't care for it?
I haven't actually seen that movie.
You've never seen A League of Their Own?
I've seen bits and pieces of that movie. I haven't seen it all at one time.
We'll watch A League of Their Own.
Okay.
I
I
like
like
that
Rosie
movie.
O'Donnell, and the outfits are cute, so
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah. I love that movie, Leah. My sources for that were the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame's website, which is baseballhall.org,
Okay.
and the Colorado Silver Bullets Wikipedia page, of course. So, a little bit of Southern heritage there, Leah. Heritage, not hate, for the Silver Bullets.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. So, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Do you have any Southern Bullets merch? Or Silver
No,
Bullets merch?
Colorado Silver Bullets, Leah.
Or is Silver
And no.
Bullets merch just Coors?
I was going to say, yeah, we can just go to stuff and get a Coors Light 12
No, thank you.
or something.
I'm
or
good.
Coors Banquet.
I'm
You don't
good.
like Coors at all, though.
No.
You hate everything.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, that was it for the first story, Leah.
All right.
How did you feel about it?
I really thought there was going to be a huge left turn and it was going to be everybody got murdered, but
They did.
Now
it just
that
hasn't, it hasn't happened yet,
okay.
but they're all murdered.
Now that I realize the type of story that we're talking about, it makes a little more sense and I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Just barnstorming culture,
yeah.
and the Silver Bullets were a part of my childhood. That's it.
I like it. Good job.
That's everything, Leah.
I did expect there to be a werewolf or a Bigfoot or something, but
Yeah.
the
The funniest part is
you can't get all the big feet.
Leah was like, I said, I've got some fun stories for tonight. And I don't remember how we got there, but I go, okay, Leah, what was interesting about the Silver Bullets? And I actually changed my shot in the dark question to what was interesting about it because she was being so cocky. I was like, okay, what's interesting about the Silver Bullets? And she goes, werewolf. I said, yes, Leah, there was a fucking werewolf on the team.
I
Correct.
still think there should be werewolves.
Yeah. But she didn't say, she just said the one word werewolf. It's like, yep. Got it. Perfect. So anyway.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
Wanted more werewolves. But I like the fact that, the barnstorming thing. And I got to talk about Antiques Roadshow because, y'all, that is where 90% of my baseball knowledge came from. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of signed balls and memorabilia that people found in old barns from barnstorming games. I mean, it's really neat.
I'll tell you what. The first half of the episode goes so much quicker when you're the one talking.
Yeah.
A lot of times it feels like the first half and I'm like, God, I can't believe we're not done. And right now I'm like, this was really fast.
Yeah.
So.
Every time.
Well, all right. I had to talk the whole time and Leah didn't like the story. So.
I think your story was lovely, Mitchell. I just was in a mindset that someone was going to get stabbed
Leah.
or ripped to shreds or transformed bodily into an otherworldly creature.
You have
And
such a negative mindset.
when it didn't happen, I was a little shaken, but I got it. We're good.
All right, y'all. Well, it's going to be break time. We're going to let the camera cool off.
We'll see y'all shortly.
We'll be back for story number 2.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Woo.
It's time for story number 2.
Number
Leah.
2.
Who's excited?
Are there werewolves?
No.
Damn.
I'm sorry. But I must say that this story is an urban legend. So, supposedly, absolutely none of it's true. But also, supposedly, there are newspaper articles. So I want to say that. I did not find any of those.
Okay.
But I do want to say that supposedly there are newspaper articles.
Okay.
So I got all of my information from a couple different spots. We're going to talk about the Banishment, and that's what it's called, the Banishment of Orion Williamson.
Okay.
And Leah said that she actually knew a little bit about this.
Yes.
I just said the name and she was like, yeah, that story's not real. It's like, Leah, there's newspaper articles, allegedly. Okay?
The reason I haven't done it yet before is because it anyway, continue.
Go ahead. Why haven't you done it?
No, go ahead. I'd like to hear it from your perspective.
Okay.
Let's hear the story of the
So,
Banishment.
The story goes, according to alleged newspaper articles, that on a sunny July day in 1854 in Selma, Alabama, a farmer named Orion Williamson was walking in his field in ankle-deep grass, right? Mm-hmm. So far, so good, right, Leah?
Correct.
Okay. He saw his neighbors out. He kind of waved to them. He bent over and he picked up a long stick and he started kind of playfully, jaunting with it, kind of just, and like
Playfully jaunts with
swinging it around as you do. And then he turned and saw his neighbor. What was his neighbor's name? Armour Wren and his son James. I believe that is Orion's son, James. He saw them. He waved. And after he waved, he turned around, took one step, and then vanished from view.
What is this motherfucker doing waving a stick around in the field?
Right? And he was jaunting, Leah.
Jaunting.
So he just disappeared. Now, the neighbors saw this happen. The neighbor and James saw this happen. They ran out to where he was. And when they got there, they saw... What? Leah? Shot in the dark. God damn it, Leah. Fucking be prepared.
There was a cat, all right? Shit.
There was definitely a cat. Okay, so shot in the dark. There was almost nothing there. What was the only weird part about the spot where he disappeared? Do you know this?
Mm-mm.
Okay. A, all of the grass right where he had been standing disappeared. Just barren ground there. B, there was a weirdly shaped 4-foot deep hole in the ground. Like it wasn't round, it was just kind of, okay? C, the stick that he picked up and was jaunting with was on the ground and it was singed on one end. Which one was it, Leah? Go.
It was the stick one.
You think it was the stick?
I think it was the stick.
Incorrect.
Damn.
You gonna play the sound?
Oh.
You gotta be on this shit, Leah. If you want to swap, you gotta fucking be ready. Let's go. Take your shot. God damn it.
All right.
Sick of your bullshit, Leah.
Go ahead.
It was A. All the grass was just gone right where he had been standing. Okay? There was absolutely no sign of him left behind. I do want to say that the first draft of this question, I had one of the options being that just his socks were left, and I thought that would have been hilarious.
This is very left behind of him.
Yeah. He was raptured, but no socks allowed in heaven.
No socks in heaven.
Yeah. That was a great children's book back in the day.
I'm afraid I missed that VeggieTales episode.
Yeah. Well, you were too busy learning Spanish from the VeggieTales. So both families, the neighbors and the Williamsons, searched for him for hours. They found absolutely nothing. They went to town, started asking around for help. And then 300, the number I got from the non-newspaper articles, said that 300 men came out and they searched, quote, carefully and repeatedly. They combed every inch of the field. And they never found anything. Not one sign. There was just that barren patch of grass.
What year was this supposed to be?
1854.
Were there 300 men in Selma at the time?
I'm sure there were. Selma was a bustling place for quite a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they found nothing. They the search party got some bloodhounds together. The bloodhounds never hit on anything. They didn't find anything. Even more people started coming to Selma to investigate. Oh, this is where it gets fucked up, I think. Supposedly some geologists came and they dug up areas of the entire field to see if anything might be unstable, like a sinkhole or something like that. Well, they only found a solid layer of rock 5 feet under the topsoil. That's all that they found. Nothing else. There were no holes, crevices, cave-ins. That was a quote from one of my sources. Nothing like that at all. So when there were absolutely no signs left, people stopped searching after a while, and he was declared dead. never to be heard from again.
Never,
Leah.
ever, ever?
Never.
It puts me in mind of like an amateur magician that's like gone out into his field and like he's got the stick, he's abracadabraing himself out there, just trying to like playfully do a trick,
Mm-hmm.
and then he fucked up, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. Oh shit. The flash paper fucking blew up on me.
yeah, like he it was an oopsie doopsie.
Blew off everything but my socks. That was
Yeah.
another. Okay.
I feel
Moving
like
on.
that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Moving on. So after all of that, more reporting came out that said that Orion's wife and son, James, I believe that was his son. I'm not sure. It just said Armor Wren and his son, James. And I'm pretty sure it was Williamson. They would start to hear voices, and it sounded like Orion was just crying out for help, kind of throughout their house. They could hear it.
Ew, I don't like that.
But it sounded like it was coming from outside, but they could hear it everywhere. So they would run outside into the field, and they would start looking for him. Sometimes they would spend hours looking for him. They never found anything. And eventually the voice would kind of fade off during the night. And over time, the initial cries for help got fainter. They weren't near as loud. They weren't filling the house anymore. And eventually those turned into whispers. And after a couple of years, they just didn't hear it anymore. And they had obviously they had stopped going into the field and looking for him. So
it gives me real sinkhole vibes.
right? But he's just in there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just like underneath, just like, hey.
Guys, seriously. Find the fucking sinkhole, you asses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got that stick with him wherever he is. They never found that stick either. So there's that.
I don't know. I feel like that's I feel like it's a sinkhole. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm scared of sinkholes, so maybe it's just me
Yeah, it's just you.
projecting. But I feel like it's got sinkhole energy, and I don't like it.
It's said that the following spring, when everything grew back in, that the area where the grass disappeared
Yeah.
is just constantly dead grass. Like it would grow in and then immediately die. That kind of thing. But in that same little area, that same spot. And it said that kept happening for quite a while after that. I'm not sure how long. But two theories did come about. Some people kind of threw their hat in the ring after a few years. Would you like to hear those theories?
I want to know about what kind of hat it was.
It was a hat that disappeared when they threw it into the grassy spot.
Shit.
No, it didn't happen, Leah. None of that. There were no hats.
I
as
want to
far
know
as I
about the hat.
There were no hats. So one of them was from, allegedly, a German scientist named Maximilian Hearn. And what he said was he believed Orion could have, quote, walked into a spot of universal ether. Does that make any sense to you?
It does.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So ether.
One of my special interests, y'all.
So at the time, there was a lot of scientific, pseudoscientific, and like spiritualist movements to sort of find what energy was out there, what caused matter, what made things move. And a lot of different people tapped into, like, they named their own like energy source. So like what in like ancient, like in like Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine would call something like qi. Other people called, like I think in the Vedas in Hinduism, it's called prana. A lot of these white guys tried to repackage that kind of idea into their own things. And so ether was one of them. They
Make it a white
believed
word,
that,
right?
huh?
Make it a white word.
Yeah.
A word that we can
yeah, like a
understand.
Westerner, like white guy kind of thing. Instead of just, anyway. So a lot of their ideas, they came up with different things. So one of the names for the universal energy, the universal power that they used was orgone. And people will still sell orgone generators, orgone blasters on Etsy. These people are fucking crazy. So orgone was one that they thought. Ether was a similar thing, that it was just sort of a life-giving force, a generational
material, an actual ebb and flowing matter that's all around you. And that is one of the things that the crazy old pseudoscientists at the time really invested a lot of stuff in, because like a lot of people believed that something was generating everything, you know what I mean? Like, so
it's an all-powerful
they didn't know, why maggots suddenly appear in a rotting piece of meat. It just like, hey, they showed up. They thought that, the ether got to it and is generating this thing, instead of like, flies are laying eggs, the eggs become larvae, that,
just like a pure energy type
exactly.
of thing.
They believed that it was sort of a thing, like just a creative, all-powerful. It's like I said, if you know anything about prana or chi or anything like that, a very similar kind of functionality, but just like with like crackpot white guys. Yeah. So I don't know, less spiritual and more pseudoscientific, but that's where the ether term became really popular.
Yeah.
Was with that kind of crowd. And like I said, there are people still peddling that shit on Etsy today. So if you need your orgone generator, they got you covered.
Yeah. Well, what Maximilian said in relation to this case was they were just spots that would kind of crop up, and they would last a few seconds, and they had the ability to, quote, completely destroy all matter within them. So it's like Leah was saying, just like an energy ball.
Yeah.
That just does whatever the fuck it wants.
It's just like pure force.
Right. So it just like disintegrated him, like to where nothing's left. There's no blood. There's nothing. That's what Maximilian is said to believe happened. He stepped into this spot of, quote, universal ether. It just disappeared.
Because
so
the universal
like
ether is going to show up in fucking Selma.
Right.
Like, really?
It's not like a
Come on,
portal.
guys.
Well, it's random. That's the whole point of the universal ether.
Fun.
Oh, excuse me. It's not like a portal, but like he literally just disappeared. He didn't disappear from one plane. He's gone, is what Maximilian was saying. Just out of nowhere. Like maggots show up. Well, Orion just
did
left.
not.
Right. He disappeared. So another scientist didn't have his name in the article, weirdly. He said that he believed that Orion walked into a magnetic field that, quote, disintegrated Orion's atomic structure and sent him into another dimension. So like a Star Trek transporter, like he disintegrated and put himself together somewhere else. So that's what this guy's saying, is he's interdimensional now, which would relate to his family hearing him, because they're hearing him from a parallel dimension somewhere.
Yeah, so like that one is a little bit more fun, in my personal opinion. Like the total obliteration thing is never great, but like when you get that I love the kind of sci-fi fantasy trope of like being stuck just beyond the veil, you know what I mean? Like they ghosted him, but like not entirely, and so like he's still walking around. It's just no one can perceive him or feel him, and he can't touch or interact with the physical.
Like Patrick Swayze?
Yeah, like Ghost. But like less Ghost, I'm not sure.
Ghost, but less Ghost.
Yeah.
Right.
So like he didn't die. He was just shifted. Like his phase of matter doesn't match up with what in our physical existence, you know?
It's like people who take mushrooms and are like, yeah, I spoke to God. It was in another area of existence.
See, usually I hear when people are on mushrooms, they don't talk to God. Ayahuasca is the one that they talk about, like actually speaking to like deities and shit. That freaks me out. That don't sign me up for that.
Any kind of a psychedelic, I've heard people say it. Not personally, but accounts of people saying anything. DMT is a big one.
DMT specifically makes you feel like you are legitimately like in a divine presence.
Either Orion or all the neighbors were on DMT.
I'm fine with that. Your brain naturally does produce DMT at certain points in your life. So fine.
Yeah, it's not something that like you don't have in you. It's when you are activating it through this drug taking, it like kicks in. It's like taking for lack of a better way of putting it, it's like having an orgasm and all of your what is it?
Neurotransmitters.
I was going to say endorphins for some reason.
Yeah.
Like all of that starts firing like all at once. It's the same kind of concept with DMT. So that's what people are basically are saying is happening is this guy's in another dimension and his DMT is not stopping. Like it was so powerful that it took his physical form.
I just want to know what he was doing with the stick in the first place.
He was having a great time. You never pick up a stick, Leah?
No.
Oh my God, you should have spent some time outside as a kid, Leah.
I did spend a lot of time outside as a kid.
Never picked up a stick and jaunted.
I never jaunted. And I was a child and not a grown-ass farmer in Selma.
It was 1854, Leah. They didn't have iPhones.
I didn't have an iPhone in 1998 either.
But you had to skip it.
No, because my mother was scared I was going to break my ankle.
That's right. We were talking about it the other day, and Leah couldn't get a skip it. And I was like, you know what it was? We were watching Good Mythical Morning.
Yeah.
And they were talking about old stuff and if it should come back or something like that. And one of them was a skip it. And as they grabbed it out, Leah was like, my mom wouldn't let me have one because she swore that I would have broken something. I said, knowing your luck, it would have flown off, hit the wall, and bounced off your head and gave you a concussion. And about that time, Link's skip it broke and flew across the room. And I was like, fucking see? You see what happened?
To be fair, my mom was definitely right about not allowing me to get the toy that like wrapped around your ankle and tripped you. Like
100%.
I was completely not there for that. It would have been a bad choice. Like I had a cousin that had one and I wanted one so fucking bad because they were really popular. And I was like, I need to fucking skip it because I'm going to be the skip it champion. And I had used her skip it at her house, like fun. It was okay. But it wasn't
yours.
Yeah, it wasn't mine. Right. And I also, only tried it a little bit. And I wanted one of those skip it's so goddamn bad. And my mom was like, no, ma'am, we are not skip-itting in this house.
Skip-itting.
Because you only have the carport that's like a flat surface. You can't skip it in our yard. It needs to be like a flat concrete surface, and we only had like the carport, and my mom parked there. So like she's like, you don't have anywhere to skip it, and you're gonna break something.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I 100% agree with her. Yeah, but absolutely. At the time, I was pissed off.
Yeah, I'll bet you were. You were real pissed.
I also didn't get a ribbon dancer for similar reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't have gotten anything active. You shouldn't have. Like that's across the board. That's your thing.
And also to be fair, they got my brother a soccer ball, and he was on a soccer team, and he tripped over a soccer ball and shattered his leg.
Yeah, he did what you're supposed to do on a soccer field and still broke his leg.
Yeah.
Because that's the point of soccer, right? It's just everybody trip on it. Whoever trips the most wins.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, I think my parents had a little bit of like trauma associated with children doing complicated things physically. So,
yeah.
Okay.
It was a good idea to not give you anything, really, because you would have found a way to fall over and break an arm.
Look, I fell over and broke arms like without questionably safe toys. So
Steve is very interested in you right now.
I also couldn't have that particular there was a doll that I know this is a tangent and I'm sorry guys, but
okay. We gotta lengthen this
there
somehow.
was also like a Cabbage Patch Kid doll that ate snacks. Like it had plastic snacks that you pushed down its throat.
You clicked its tongue, right?
Yeah. Well, no, you didn't even click its tongue. It just had like a sensor in it, and once it had something in its mouth, it had like little wheels that would pull it through and put it in its body cavity.
Oh no!
And I wanted one really bad because I had a friend that had one, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're so cute! You can actually shove food down their mouths. It's really cool." And my mom was like, "Hell no! That is a one-way like ticket to the emergency room because it's gonna snatch all the hair off your head or it's gonna like skin you alive."
I think that's why they recalled those because they were eating people's hair.
100% recalled that doll. And like my friend actually got a braid caught in it, the girl that had it. Thankfully they got it cut off and like got it taken out before it like hurt her for real. But my mom wouldn't let me have that doll, and she was right about not letting me have that doll because I had very, very long blonde hair at the time, and that was
still pissed, weren't you?
Yeah, I was still really pissed. My mom saved me from a lot of very unsafe toys for me specifically as a child, but I did get the the sky dancers where you pulled it and the
and
little
they shot
thing,
up
the little
like
cute fairy
helicopters?
dancer. I broke something with that too. So
Like on you?
no, not on me. Like I'm pretty sure like I hit it into a picture frame because I was launching it inside and I broke the glass out of the picture frame.
Leah, come on now. You skip it and you fired Flame Dancer, whatever they are.
It was a sky dancer and mine was really pretty.
Sky Dancer. Doing both outside.
Yeah, turns out.
Oh, God, excuse me.
But at any rate,
I don't remember how we got here. We
Sorry.
were talking about DMT.
yeah.
I don't know what we were doing.
Because you got hurt and you skipped it into a different dimension, maybe?
No, that's not where this was going. Not at all.
I want extra dimensional skip-its, please.
Yeah.
I just want to every
skip is a different
every
dimension.
skip we get to go into a different part of the multiverse and it counts. I don't know.
See if you can get through all of the dimensions.
Yes. Exactly.
Or if there's just an infinite number. Or, if it's random, you're probably going to hit the same dimension a couple times. Anyway. So, you would rather that he got transferred to another dimension instead of just disappeared, right?
Yeah, because the disappearing is just like... There's because there would be no reason for him for them to hear him later on. If he was pushed slightly out of our reality...
It could be a ghost, though.
Sure.
Leah.
But did he was, and then that predicates the existence of a soul, and then you have to deal with that. So was he haunting, or was it, So it feels better to me if he was just sort of pushed off of our plane of reality and then is existing, in a less than physical form, and he's still there, and he's like, guys, I'm fucking right here. Hello, I'm Orion. What's up? And everybody's just like, where the fuck do you go? And he's like, guys, I'm right here. And they're like, nah, bro.
Hello, I'm Orion. What's up?
I'm very tired and I'm pretty sure the alcohol got to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, good. Fucking took you long enough. Well.
So tell me about how you know that this isn't real.
Honestly, just because of the sources that I got it from. One of them was Urban Legends of Alabama.
Nice.
And the other one was a Blogspot post.
Oh, great.
So I got it from AL.com and a Blogspot blog called The Mythical and Paranormal Realm.
Yeah.
So those are my sources. And I'm like, okay, I understand that first of all, it was an urban legend list from AL.com.
Yes.
And the second one was this person claiming that there were news articles and saying, well, there was no internet at the time, obviously, so you'd have to go to the Selma library. This is my conspiracy theory. The person was saying you have to go to the Selma library to look up the old news articles. I think that it's a Selma library employee trying to drum up some fucking business because nobody goes to the library. Period.
A lot of people go to the library,
No, they do
Mitchell.
not.
Yes,
if they do, they're going for the free internet to look at porn. A lot of people do that, I know.
I'm sure they do, but a lot of the times libraries nowadays have maker spaces in them. They have events for kids. They can rent out ebooks and regular books and DVDs and shit. It's a really good community resource.
I'm just
saying, libraries are definitely a cool, awesome thing, and you shouldn't shit on libraries.
I didn't say they weren't. I said people don't go.
A lot of people go.
They don't, though.
Okay.
None of them do.
All right. Agree to disagree, I suppose.
Provable fact.
No, people are very much invested in their community libraries. Not all of them. Our library is not that great, but in other regions.
Yeah. Everybody else's libraries are good, though, I'm sure.
They're actually rebuilding our library, though, so they're getting a new building, and that's exciting.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a lot of events.
Maybe. And our library is named after the only famous person to come out of this town. So,
yeah. And most of the town doesn't like him because he was outspoken against.
He was very
Southern stuff. Basically,
yeah. He was very. He was an activist at the time, or against racism and sexism and all the isms. He was a lot more socially.
What's his name?
Liberal. His name is William Bradford Huey.
There you go.
And like I said, he his wife was actually my mom's kindergarten teacher, strangely. But yeah, that's what our library is named after, and they're going to get a new one. But most of the people in this town do not like him because of his progressive views on everything.
Well, are they not keeping the name?
No, they're going to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll still be the William Bradford Huey Library.
It is, but they're going to build a new building because the old one is really shitty.
And we're going to have to go there to look up all the old newspaper articles about how much everybody hated him for being like, and not even anti-white, but it's so easy to just be like, hey, stop being a dick. Stop being anti-white.
Yeah.
Like that's what they were doing.
Basically. But anyway. So, yeah. Also, just part of the story that I don't think that you got into the research-wise.
I didn't.
A lot of people believe that this particular story was initiated by Ambrose Bierce. And he was, a novelist and journalist and all sorts of a writer at the time.
Oh,
and
actually, that is part of it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
I'll give you what I learned.
Yeah, he wrote a short story. He wrote lots of short stories, but he wrote a short story that has this whole plot. The whole plot is that story. Like this guy's walking across a field and he disappears. And a lot of people, I've never read that short story, but a lot of people think that like he sort of wrote it as if it were a kind of true thing and wrote it as an account of something that happened. But it was just a short story. It was fiction. And he was a really famous, popular writer, and people just took it at face value because he was a very famous and popular writer at the time. And also, weirdly, he himself disappeared.
Yes.
Which is really fucking interesting. And another topic that I would like to delve into at some point. But
I left this out because the blog post addresses that directly. And it says that the Ambrose Bierce story was written in like the 1880s, I want to say. And this was 1854. So that what the blog proclaims is that Ambrose Bierce probably traveled through the area and or heard the story and wrote his own version, which is set in a different town. And there are some things that aren't exactly the same, but it is the exact same story.
Yeah, it's the same story. It's just some details are changed.
Right. I left that part out because of the differences.
But like I said, a lot of people say that that's the actual origin of the story. It was just a short story and people have...
Right. And the blog is very upset at those people.
Yeah.
Because it said, no, this was 1854. God damn it. Come to the library and find out. I mean, go to the library and find out. That's what it says.
Like, I'm sorry, but if the Selma library had anything like that, they would have already digitized it and put it online so people would know.
Well, I didn't search.
I mean,
Leah.
that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
The blog was written in 2012.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if there had been any kind of, like, because that's a very popular, interesting urban legend and has been for a very long time.
Right.
I knew about that story when I was in, like, elementary school because, once again, I am a magnet for weird shit. And I
learned about it at 1 month from being 34.
I have an encyclopedic knowledge of weird shit in our area.
Bullshit.
And so... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably the origins point of it. But
and the blog said exactly what you said about how he wrote the story, and then he weirdly disappeared in I think 1914. Like he just went missing, and no one ever saw from him again.
Yeah,
it was probably in the field. It was probably in a field.
I want to say he went missing in New Mexico.
Probably in a field, New Mexico. They had a lot of fields.
It might not have been New Mexico. It's somewhere in the Southwest.
What he did, he was secretly researching universal ether, and he was like, I think I've tracked a spot. And then, bam, bitch is gone.
What do you do to treat your universal ether, though? Like, if you've got that shit just hanging around.
Neosporin, usually. That seems to work on everything.
You've got to get something to dissipate that universal ether, because it sounds dangerous as shit. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, but I did have an album called Dissipate That Universal Ether. It was a solo spoken word album.
I was going to say, it sounds awful.
It was not highly reviewed. Not at all. It was pretty bad. Oh. Well, are we ready to get probably the worst toast that's ever been done on this podcast, Leah?
Yes, I'm very ready for that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because it's rough. But hey, you've given me a lot of rough ones. Hashtag that's what she said. And I'm just here to pay it back. You
Also, how do they spell ether?
E-T-E-H? No, E-T-H-E-R.
Okay. It should have an A on the beginning of it, but all right.
Oh, the aether? That kind of spelling? Like the A-E intertwined?
Because ether
letter?
with just an E is like the medication.
Like lithium?
No, ether is like a sort of chloroformy. It's to like knock people out.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, let's do a toast because we need to get this over with, and you can belittle me as much as you want after this, okay?
Okay. Down
Toast
for
time. Here we go. Ready? Everybody hoist your empty shot glass. Leah, get a beer. Goddamn.
Fun.
Hoist your beer high into the sky. Let's toast. Barnstorming players traveled and slept on cheap linens, and the silver bullets were trailblazers for women. How do you like that one?
That was really bad, and the cadence was off.
No man, nor loved one, nor dog could find him. Nothing was found, not even a hind limb. Drink.
Oh, baby, you struggled. That was a struggle bus straight to town.
I told you it was pretty bad.
I mean, did you try though?
Well, I mean some, but I was also like, I can't get anything. Just get something down. I went to Rhyme Zone and I was like, oh, hind limb. That works.
Hind limb. That's not even a good rhyme.
I mean, it is. It's a perfect rhyme, actually. It's not even approximate.
Find him and hind limb?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is. Fucking anyone.
No.
Help me out.
If anyone, I swear, gets on the community chat and tells him that it was anything other than hot trash garbage,
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna be mad at you.
I told you it was fucking hot trash garbage. I'm arguing that it's an exact rhyme, which it
No.
is.
It's not.
Thank you very much.
Oh, disagree. All right. Well, what a toast, man. I liked it. Good job.
Thank you.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Thank
You're the
you.
best.
All right, Leah, you
10
got to
out of
outro
10. I don't know any
it.
of that
You want
shit.
to. You can just say bye.
Y'all, thank you so much for listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by postcard or, any other form. But anyway, our post office box is P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. That address will be written in our show notes because we always do that. You can see us on YouTube if you want to. The link is below in the show notes as well. We also have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at Southern Spirits Podcast. Just look us up. You can find us there. We also have a Patreon. If you want to give us cash, totally down for that. Patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Become a member of the Possum Passel and make a possum smile or whatever. Yeah, I think that was everything. Mitchell, did I get everything?
Merch store.
Oh, we have a merch store. We will also put the link to that shop down in our description. People have been purchasing the merch, and the merch looks absolutely adorable. I want to get myself one of the hoodies with
I
the
do
Gothic
too.
logo on it.
It's getting cold.
Because it's
time to
getting
get one.
chilly, and I want a big-ass, probably size-up hoodie with our Gothic logo on it. And I'm just into it. So if you want to be fancy and wear our merchandise around, it is also available. So yeah.
All right. Well, what now, Leah?
I think that was everything. Would you like to wrap things up?
Yeah, you say.
What do I say?
See you next
Oh,
time.
we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, y'all.